And we're back with the Blast Open qualifier. Now our grand finals, the only thing that lies in front of us. I remember on day one, the biggest point I mentioned was this tournament was leading to a big rematch between Legacy and between Imperial, in which Imperial still have a lot to prove, but Legacy have clearly not been falling off.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into this one because this is in South America, I feel like so many times you see a bracket, you say, okay, these are the two opponents that will meet in the final. We'll have a great match to decide who wins. And you never get it. You never get it because there's some upset that happens along the road. Domestic derbies like this, especially in South America, always go another way. But we get the final that we deserved. We get the two kind of, I wouldn't say like best teams in South America because there are definitely certain options. But I think right now we've got some really stiff competition in South America, and these are the two teams that I would want to duke it out.
And I honestly think Imperial can be a little happy with the fact that they found themselves here because of the scare yesterday that Audix gave them, at least for a little bit. Now, whether you want to put that in Audix camp is maybe they're just starting to become a really good training team or what is obviously up for your interpretation. But still, I think that was a run for their money that Imperial were not exactly expecting. But before we get to that, we could talk about Legacy. Obviously, is the team we all know and love at this point, right? Whether you want to talk about teams potentially being interchangeable, that could be the team in South America, I don't think this is the one. I feel like Legacy is the team. Just depends on if they wake up on the given day.
Yeah, I mean, the whole process of Legacy in the second half of the season is showing whether or not they have the same capabilities that they showed at Austin not too long ago. One best of three, essentially, from qualifying to the major playoffs and just missed out on it. But that result alone suggests that Legacy should be cleaning house through these qualifiers. But I definitely still think there are still gears to be found for certain players. I think Dumao, now with a couple of roles shifted, has to find that same sort of replication in those newer roles. Nissim had a great uptick within the major cycle, and I think a lot of people enjoyed watching him play in that major cycle. But I think that for me, I thought that was more an outlier of a performance for him, and I hope to see if he can kind of reach that level of performance again here. And I think that's the guy that I'm looking at, him and Sadzin, to keep up that same level of form moving forward in this best of three specifically.
Yeah, I mean, you might not even necessarily need it, right? It feels like there isn't really a guy that you have to rely on for Legacy, and that's just one of the things that makes them so strong. When your least rated player can still put up 20 bombs against FaZe, well, what the hell do you do? The answer is, I got no idea. But for Imperial, they're going to have to figure that one out the hard way, because a point that I made a while back was I feel like SHR has been having a rough going of it. So, like, maybe not just on Imperial, but in the past, like, year-ish toward the end of SAW, even though that was kind of a mess that he got his way out of. But beyond that, everything looks good for Imperial. And that's not even saying SHR has been underperforming. He's been doing his job on this team. Imperial have taken immediate steps higher ever since his inclusion.
Yeah, I definitely think that they needed to figure out what they wanted to do moving forward, and SHR was not a bad pickup by any means. But the thing is he's got some pretty important roles on a team. I mean, we were talking Kana and Mirage as a whole, and that alone is suggesting to me that this team, this organization, wants to get a lot out of him. And on the other front, you think about Cello being added to this team as well, a guy that is now being forced to play like the cat side on Mirage, and also is asked to provide a certain number of kills on the team. But I don't necessarily know if both of these guys are the right fits just yet, because the consistencies, the inconsistencies are definitely there, and against a rifle core like Legacy, you're going to need the very best out of both of these guys. It cannot just be the try show, and if you just have try in this kind of situation, I think this game is a pretty open and shut case.
I mean, I think it's very hard to vouch for these two new editions of Imperial when the first instance you and I saw of them in this event was that game versus Shinden, where both SHR and Cello weren't really there in that win. Even in the ports where it looked like they were struggling. I remember that Mirage game. Imperial, if that's the team we see today, there is no question that Legacy is going to come away winning this. It was a scared Imperial. It was players not really performing to their stature. It was names not stepping up. And Shinden, I mean, you also can't really take it away from them that they were playing well. But still, part of that carried over into Dust 2 for the first half of it, at least just a little bit before Imperial really started to take over. And it begs the question of what team do we see on the given day? Even yesterday, like I said, they avoided a scare from Audic, and sure, Audic played that very well, but still, this is not exactly a matchup I would expect Imperial to go into losing. And so far in the event, it does kind of feel like we've gotten a mixed bag of Imperial, where sometimes we see really, really good, but it's not going to fly today, especially again against a Legacy who has not struggled to get here.
Yeah, let's take a look at the vetoes, honestly, because I think that this will be an interesting indication as to where Imperial are thinking of going. And straight away, Imperial will take out Ancient from the pool. And I think if you're Legacy in this situation, I think taking Train out is not a bad shot, but then you would leave Overpass open. So I'm curious to see what Legacy want to do here. Oh wow, okay, sure, yeah, they'll leave Train open. They'll ban out Dust 2 instead. This is a staple for Imperial, so two staples for their respective teams kind of taken out of the pool straight away, and I like that. I like that their Legacy and Imperial are both forcing each other to go to more extreme ends of the map pool for both of these respective teams. And there it is. You get it. You finally get it. An overpass pick for Imperial, and I think this is a real dangerous thing to try, but I think if you're going to do it in a situation like this, I have to respect it. You have a real opportunity to potentially surprise. I mean, neither of these teams have really shown too much on this map, so this will be a very interesting one, to say the least.
I mean, I'm not entirely shocked to see Legacy not get rid of Overpass. I'm more surprised to see it picked into on the side of Imperial. But the one thing it feels like is a guarantee in this series is a nuke. Regardless of what the second map is, I just feel like everything is pointing towards a nuke decider. And that's where things get really interesting to me. Obviously, there is the world that we go into Overpass. We don't really see anything all that inspiring out of Imperial, and Legacy closed this out 2-0. But if you asked me, okay, this is kind of wild. I mean, I think this is going to be a nuke decider regardless. I feel like there's just no way we don't find our way there. Right. I think there's two separate ways to look at this series. This is either Imperial look good on Overpass. I still don't really see them toppling Legacy on Inferno in their current form. I just think Legacy is too good of an Inferno team. But beyond that, I think if you were to side with Imperial, you would have to do it in 3. I've been talking this whole event about the Imperial nuke specifically, and it's not like they don't have their history on this map before. Again, these guys have gone at it back and forth a couple of times now, and considering I think Imperial have a map lead on them by like 3 or 4 wins. Nuke has been, I believe, 2 or 3 of them. So I'm not shocked to see it end up here, but I really do think this whole series comes down to Overpass and just what Imperial looks like there.
It's very interesting that Legacy really wanted Train in this pool from the way you look at it. They leave Train open in the first phase, they leave it open in the second phase, and even give Imperial an opportunity to go towards that. And Imperial don't even want to bite, which is kind of interesting to me. I guess the pool results against Audic probably suggest as much, that they just don't want to touch it. Maybe they don't really believe in that map just yet. So Nuke will be interesting. Nuke will be interesting for sure. I think both of these teams have a very clear understanding as to how they want to approach it. But man, that Overpass pick is like such a huge risk, because if it fails for Imperial, this series, I think, is just over before it even begins. I think that, I mean, you got to think about Legacy's Inferno, man. They beat Vitality. They snapped the win streak for Vitality on that map, and that came down to just a very key understanding of how to play unorthodox T sides. And I think for Imperial, they're really gonna have their hands full there. That you just put a lot of effort and stress onto this first map of the series. And honestly, that just makes for a very exciting final. So I'm excited to get stuck into it.
Yeah, I think one thing that I always like to mention when it's coming to series like this is that it's so hard to compare Legacy to other teams, specifically when a lot of the times you see them in South American games like this, it's, you know, you look at Imperial and say they've pretty much beat everybody there is in the region, but that's just it. It's just in the region. Imperial, even though once upon a time they were qualifying for event after event, their calendar's relatively empty in that regard. Legacy, it's the opposite. So they've been playing against the best teams in the world on this map, winning a lot of them, and you come back into South America and say, what have Imperial got to try to take that away from them? It's very, very hard to give that a bargain. But I mean, again, I don't really hate the way this veto was played. I think you kind of hit it on the money there, especially with yesterday's performance on Train. I don't entirely think it would have been wise to send that in as a decider, but it's hard for me to imagine with the way Imperial have looked in the few best of threes we've seen, with how shaky they've been, that it's going to be a masterclass of outcalling Legacy. Again, it's just the games they've been winning, they're pretty close with the exception of that second map over Shinden. And then the games they've been losing are quite eye-opening. I speak on that one map of Train versus Audic. It just didn't really look all that confident again. And it shows me that those issues we saw on day one from Imperial aren't necessarily just rusting, or I'm sorry, derusting, maybe some wake up pains. They are there, and that is something they are going to have to play with now against Imperial. I'm sorry, against Legacy.
Yeah, I think a very interesting conversation that I would always think about when it comes to a matchup like this is the chemistry that has already been built up. I mean, you talk about
Sure.
how long Lux has been integrated into this roster and how comfortable I think Nissim feels as well. They've gone through a whole set of role shifts already as a team, from Nekiz to Lux, and even in the Lux system there was a couple of shifts, and I think that they've done a good job in kind of figuring out what works best for all of these players. That I think Imperial are still going through that process as of right now. I don't necessarily know if Cello is, or sorry, not necessarily Cello. Actually, in this situation, I think Cello is fine where he is. I think they've been giving him some good roles. I think for SHR, it's a conversation of what they want to do between SHR and Noe, of whether or not they want to keep Noe as the big side anchor, or if they want to move him over to those more aggressive roles of connector as well, which I think in the long run might work a little bit better. But either way, the fact that I'm having this indecisiveness about where these players should play should kind of tell you where Imperial are at in general, where I don't necessarily know if they know where this team should be at in terms of roles. And with that, you see the uncomfortable maps of Counter-Strike that play for them, and these weird peaks and valleys that they get throughout this tournament that, yes, they've been getting wins on wins, but there is still a certain level of discomfort to this team that I don't think that they've completely discovered themselves yet to go on that big stint that they had previously in South America, where they just dominate, steamroll through teams, and really only have some hiccups towards the more of those finals, really. So for me, I think that chemistry is going to be that key reason as to why Legacy edge out Imperial. The fact that they understand how to win and what they need to win in the game, whereas Imperial are still figuring it out.
Well, there's going to have to be something figured out here shortly, because in just a couple minutes time, we'll see if Imperial can or can't defy the odds, because obviously going in does not look like the book is in their favor. But we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we'll be ready to kick off the grand final. It's about time we got this show on the road. Overpass, our first coverage of it, but not Imperial's first bouting. If I remember correctly, they played it yesterday against Audic. Went pretty well, and by pretty well, I believe 13-11. But good enough to find themselves here. Now the next test is Legacy on their own P side. I have high expectations right now, though. It's slow from Legacy. Responsive Imperial running a fountain and spotting ahead in bathrooms.
Instant rotation, at least from Lux to get over here. 3 strong on this A site. Instantly, Sadzin has to come up to bat, and he can't find anything. Lux now pushed to the back of the bomb site, waiting for his teammate to help strike on the other end. But Lado gets to the scene of the crime very late. He's got to strike now, and he's definitely doing that. 2 big kills for him. Has a third lined up, but can't complete the kill. 3v2 now for Imperial as they try to get that bomb down, and Nissim and Dumao on the long flank. Nissim finds one more into the 2v2.
These dualies are way too far away. Dumao is taking a sweet time to come up and clear bathrooms. There's no kit inbound right now. That's a big worry, especially when you've still got Cello tucked into this close corner. It's devious to try and clear, especially as the round ticks on and on. Nissim still waiting for these dualies to arrive, and eventually Try is going to get suspicious jumping around toward bathrooms, playing the headshot angle. Looks like this could be all under lock and key, however, as Cello's dealt with his in CT spawn, and Dumao's late-winded rotation doesn't come to help, even with the kill. Just didn't seem to be there in time.
Terrorists win.
Oh, well, Dumao will still get the last kill of the round, but Imperial win the pistol. I just didn't really like how discombobulated the setup was on Legacy's end. Like, they understood that this A play was coming, they fall away, but there just isn't enough cohesion in terms of the trading off of one another that I already start to see a couple of worries moving forward into this defensive end of how they want to approach that A bomb site. They've got the right players in the right positions, I will say. I think that they've got the roles figured out, but we'll see what they can do with this force buy now that these scouts are ready and rearing to go.
I think Cello caught a tag in the early round as he took a glimpse up in party, so makes that scout even stronger for the time being. Vinny currently tasked with ensuring there's no monster push in sight. How do they get out? It's always a nasty little crossfire to look at. They now know somebody's on the left side. Flashing through basic, no splash, but Vinny can't get through. Dumao credited for the kill, but it's still a big 5-on-4. That's a gun they can grab. That is far enough toward the end of the pipe to where they could legitimately risk getting that Galil. Again, that's not the tagged up Cello. That's not the tagged up No Way. I believe there's 2 players scoutable right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Lado's going to continue to search. Doesn't want to double zoom. It's a matter of moments, and he does spot our body now this time. And he'll fall away. He doesn't want to give away any of this man advantage over. Both the scouts now on this A bomb site, and I think too many cooks in the kitchen might come back to haunt them, so they've got to spread out a little bit more, find another kill, put the hurt onto Imperial. 30 seconds now. Sound cue's given over, and eventually Sadzin will see something, you'd like to think. Oh, but he isn't swinging out too wide enough, and they're going to continue to encroach. Here comes No Way.
Flashes in. One of those scouts blinded off in the back of Dice, but there's 3 people here still trying to rattle off shots. Lux, the first one, credited with the kill. There's Sadzin coming back in. The flash from CT keeps them inching forward, but SHR has other things to say, at least for now. It's just a little too overwhelming for the presence of Imperial and Legacy on the force buy. Put it right back down Imperial's throats, and it's all off of this one pick too, right? I think Vinny got stuck there trying to get out of the pipe. It looks like he couldn't progress.
I never like popping through the monster smoke if I have the superior purchase. I think that is such a clear opportunity for close range weaponry like a 5.7, like an MP9 to find impact and get that 5v4. And once the CTs have an advantage on a map like Overpass, winning 5v4s feel very doable. And that's why this map is a CT side as it is. So I feel like a couple of mistakes going on from either end so far, as you'd kind of expect from 2 teams that don't dabble in Overpass as much as they should. Now, another force buy back the other way. Instant con pressure, front bathrooms pressure here for Imperial as well, and they completely pump the brakes.
I think Imperial kind of get away with one too, especially with the presence Legacy had put on Con at the start of this round. You had a player in Con, you have the door blown off, spam coming through from B. The fact that Vinny only takes a couple of bullets as a tag is absolutely worth its weight in gold, and now they're trying to just run up. Reloading on the M4, this is where problems can really start to arise. Lux, his 2 kills back may have given them a window of opportunity, but it's just that. Nothing more, nothing less. The bomb goes down, and those tags really starting to add up, but a molly's been thrown into the ranks of Imperial, including guns, but health paints a different story. Not even adding up to 100 between the 3 of them. These crossfires will have to do all the work. One in the front of ATV, one close dumpster, one in bathrooms, but one already dropped. And this is an angle you're almost assuming to be the first clear. Yeah, Dumao won't let that go undetected. And it's not planted for him in bathrooms. Try. He can hope. He can maybe try to sneak a kill into this, but there's realistically no world he gets away with this round. It's a good-looking retake from Legacy, even featuring the dink.
Dink. I mean, I don't understand why his teammate is holding such a shallow angle like that. Nearly could have been disastrous. But either way, Legacy get it over the line. I just think that was such a poor setup where you're dumping your entire mag and allowing them to get that far up. This is a messy overpass to start where I don't feel like either team has the cleanest protocols, but right now, Legacy having just a little bit more firepower in the tail end. Dumao doing a lot of heavy lifting, 7-0 to start out these first 4 rounds of play.
Timing in Con, but spins back around. SHR will be no match for what Lotto's M4 has to offer up. Now Dumao is the one to look at. It's over in the monster pipe. Again, it's just more pistols versus rifles. Not ever really going to go your way. And they're already instating some aggression in this one.
Yeah, now you got a little bit of time for Legacy to start getting into some very aggressive tendencies. I'm talking short control. I'm talking front bathrooms control once Sadzin gets out that AWP. Maybe even some con pressure as well once they do have short control, like boosting up over onto the railing. And that all comes with utility advantage, gun advantage, and Legacy can start exerting that.
But when this map got reintroduced, one of the first things I saw was somebody screaming about how Con is not a position.
What?
And how much I could not believe my eyes.
What?
Oh, speaking of Con, I think that's where we're going to see Sadzin. Taking a glance at the positioning here, the off, you already mentioned it, maybe some forward bathrooms presence, maybe some con pressure. That's exactly what we're going to see.
Oh,
he's going to tell you right now that it's a position, but maybe not if Lux gets dropped that quickly. And that, oh, that's so unfortunate. Not even because he has to back away, but they know he's here now. They can prepare for it, and they're even boosting up in playground. This could be another free kill. They play their cards right.
I like that. I like the boost there, but man, you do not need a boost for throwing a nade into connector. You don't.
No.
And that cost them again there, just getting very greedy on that position. And now Imperial have a ripe 5-on-4. They're encroaching upon the monster position. A flash in dissuades the T's for just a little bit. They'll re-smoke the monster pipe, but they're going to go through that. Vini goes charging in. Dumao has run out of bullets, but Nissim is still fighting tooth and nail, but finally has the gun go dry. It's all up to Sadzin on that AWP, pushes it into the 1v2. But Cello is capable of winning situations like this.
I mean, Sadzin's tucked into the corner. This is as honest as it gets for a 1v1. Lotto recognizes the situation, comes through, quelms the fire before the flames get even hotter. And that legacy streak keeps going. Man, it's been so long since I've gotten to say this. Maybe it's the first time I've said it with you. Russian B through a monster smoke. It never works. Stop doing it. Stop doing it.
I actually think it could work if you nade open the smoke. But I just feel like people are valuing so much to sit inside the smoke a little too much. So, I don't know. I think whenever Imperial decides to play a map for the first time, I think they have very outdated ideas of how the map works. And they're going to have to figure out how to improve this map very quickly, and that's a good way to start it. Vinny killing Lotto instantaneously. Another 5v4 here for Imperial.
Oh, this is timing right here. If SHR looks away, you gotta be kidding me! But he spins back around. Nissim won't go unnoticed for too long on his escapade up through the connector, but that's 2 guns handed over to Imperial. And the bill entirely split down the middle. No trades in sight, but how could there be in a 3-on-5? Try knows it, runs in, takes down his man, and pretty much stakes his claim in the B site's grasp. And if Legacy even want to go for this, it'd be quite the bold move. I think at this point, it's just shifting for a save, but even that's far-fetched. Look at try sneaking up through CT spawn. Lux dispatches, but the jig's up.
Yeah, and again, feels a little awkward in how they're losing these fights. Lotto taking an aggressive long stance with no support from his party player. Connector player as well going aggressive with no information on the A side after losing long as well. Very disconnected ideas of how Legacy wanted to play there, and I just think, again, greedy is the term that I would use to describe that round from Legacy. Thinking that they can get a lot from a position like that, but these close range pistols doing the job to punish the mistakes. And Imperial, if they consistently do get these opening 5v4s, can really start to chain some rounds together.
I don't even know what's as big, the 5-on-4s themselves or what they're getting off of these 5-on-4s. In these past 2 rounds, it's what they've gotten for the first pick. It's what it's told them, right? You think about 2 rounds ago when it's the buy and they get that pick on the boost over in Monster. Well, they have that molly. They tag off the player in con. They drop the player boosting up to spot water. At that point, as Imperial, you know you have water for free. There's nobody bridge. There's nobody holding Monster. All of this is a guarantee, right? It's just that presence of mind that Legacy are giving over with these first picks. Maybe not as much on that last where it's essentially just handing back over long, but some of these rounds, Legacy are leaving themselves open to giving a lot of the map to Imperial as well as the 5-on-4.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that that's the worst thing you could do. The worst combination of things that you can do on a map like Overpass. Now, Try has his AWP out as well. We'll see what impact he can provide on the T side. Herculean effort against Shinden earlier on in this tournament. And that's a massive nade and connection from Lotto. Big 5v4 to get the other way. And I like that Lotto is playing as forward-facing as possible. And same goes for Nissim and Dumao. Kill for both of them and a re-smoke up. And look at that punishment from Nissim. No Way has no chance at that B bomb site. And an instant 2v5. An instant round conversion, you'd like to think, for Legacy.
All banking on hopes and dreams now. Maybe it takes a flash to make a thing go right, especially when that kill's given over. There's trying his up. Impact felt at least a little, but not for long. Oh my God, Vinny, what are you doing to these people? Still a player in headshot. He's trying to isolate 1v1s. The leader might have to do it himself. The 4th comes in. And now it's just Lux. Fearful as ever as he backs up towards T-spawn. The bomb in the monster pipe for 33 seconds. He's got to get a move on. Lux still doesn't have to worry too much. Vinny seems like he's not bothered. Eventually assuming that Lux will walk into him, not realizing he has full control of the bomb. And eventually Lux is just going to start heading for the hills, right? There's only so much time left where Vinny can creep up, can get this bomb, and can make an effort to get into the site. Now feels a little impossible, doesn't it? The stars were aligning, but it's temporal and Legacy. They close that one down real quick.
Oh my goodness, Vinny. Beautiful attempt at the 1-on-4. And again, critical mistakes here from the Legacy players in terms of this crossfire right here, spamming through that short smoke, leaving your barrels player out on an island. I think you've got to force Vinny's hand there to check the barrels there. I think these are just again small details that really add up in a game with these kind of proportions. Either way, Legacy still retain the lead. They still have a 3-round buffer. They send Imperial down to a shorter bye, but there's still danger around this B-side corner.
The ops posted in water. First time we've seen him down on this side of the map. Sadzen, it feels like he's almost guaranteed one. He backs away. Sprints around toward the pillar, and they hear that. They know they've pretty much gotten the control they're looking for. However, Lux swings open the condor and puts a wrench in things before they can even really get jump-started. So if you thought B was going to be your saving grace, seems like it may be your tomb. Right. Only AK in a 1-on-5, and he's getting pushed down by everybody you can ask for.
Much better there from Legacy. And it sounds it not over jumping the gun there, getting the information that short has been lost, and that's where the re-clear comes up from the A riflers to move down through the connector stairs, crunch into that position, make Imperial feel uncomfortable, and then from there on out, it's very simple for Sadzin just to keep his eyes trained on the monster pipe, take out that one lurking player. Slowly but surely, it feels like Legacy are understanding this defensive end of Overpass just a little bit better. And for Imperial, they're running out of ideas, trying to nudge their way back into this Overpass.
I mean, I think this can be said and is a good thing for both camps, but Sadson right now, right? I think it's good for Legacy that he's been positioning himself in the ways that he has. He's been fluid. He's been in spots where you would typically expect to see an Opper on Overpass have impact, but that's where things get better for Imperial, because we've now seen him in these angles where, hell, Oppers guarantee themselves one typically, and they've limited him to nothing. Now here comes that monster pop again. I hold my opinion strong. I'm not backing down. And neither are Nissim and Dumal. These two have been lights out toward the monster pipe, and that's not going to change now just because you want it to. Quick exchange of guns to make sure Dumal ain't got to worry about reloading anytime soon. Try wanted to pop through it, but now maybe second-guessing himself. But wait for that smoke to phase, but no dice. And SHR can't even get involved by the time his team crumbles.
Yeah, the flashes from Imperial not really hitting the mark. You don't have Molotovs in place to really make any of the side anchors feel uncomfortable. It's free pickings for Dumal with the triple. Nissim as well. I mean, both side anchors staying alive for as long as they do makes that B bomb site impenetrable. The rotation over from Lux was also there. That round, not cutting it. I mean, especially if you don't have the proper spacing out of the monster pipe. I do feel as though they're rounding that woodwall corner just a bit too spaced out. So again, it doesn't feel to me as though Imperial have got enough ideas and developments on this map to feel like this pick was warranted. Of course, there's still a lot of game to play, but for right now, I don't feel enamored by this pick.
I mean, this whole series, even though I like the way that it went, picks-wise, is kind of an outlier in this little rivalry these two have had. I mean, the past 2 times they played, they were both in, you know, the Pro League qualifier, but it was an identical best of 3 with Train, Mirage, and Nuke in that order. But oddly enough, it was, like we obviously saw, immediately banned Mirage by Legacy, who had picked it both times and lost it both times. Then Train wasn't brought in, even though Imperial have picked it both times. So I do like the new scenery here. It just doesn't really seem like Imperial have got that much grit behind this Overpass, especially for warranting picking it instead of leaving it as a floater maybe down the stretch.
Exactly. I think you got to put the onus on Legacy to leave it as a decider, especially when Mirage was still open. I don't know. That's something that Zach and Vinny are gonna have to think about. Ooh, those are a nice couple of nades. Doesn't actually net themselves a kill. Shocking that it doesn't, but
it's just, these are angles where your Opper is maybe once a half rotating to and almost guaranteeing a kill every time. Imperial have been ahead of the curve. They've not given Sadsin anything.
That's true on one end, but the problem is they've not been able to deal with any of this rifle core effectively beyond the pistol initially. And at this point, it if they can't overcome this rifle core, it's still going to be a tough time. And look at this, man. Lotto's been wanting to get aggressive here on long so long, but he's getting flanked in from bathrooms. That's where Lux has to come up to bat, and these two are doing everything. The double L's cannot be dislodged here off of long, unless Try can do something like that. The flash is good. It's still a doable 2v3 when you look at the HP bars on both Dumao and Sadzin.
Again, they need pep in their step. There's 30 seconds to go and one Molotov. Place this right, however, and problems can really start to arise. I mean, hell, it feels like regardless of where you place it, you will get impact. Both of the men defending this A site are the low HP bars. And there goes Sadzin. Op dropped around map, 14 seconds. Nothing can go wrong. SHR spotting out the player in Dumpster. And Dumao, you wouldn't dare go up that, would you? Of course you would. But it leaves Nissim in an unfathomable 1-on-2 that not even the best in this game are going to close out. So finally, Imperial have something to write home about on an eco round, no less.
I don't know, man. I just don't think that you needed to be the hero there and try to deny the plant. I think you try to play out the 2v2, you give the plant up, and then you flush out the planter with the molly. But too little, too late, and the mid-round goes in the favor of Imperial. Yes, you can point the finger at Sadzin for potentially missing that shot there, but I think the way that they handled that 2v2 was less than ideal, and Imperial get another chance to bring this back. Keep in mind, I mean, 7-5, that's good enough.
Say it's a good handshake of a half going both ways, though. And even more so in the favor of Imperial with how this half started. A lot of people will tell you that momentum is one of the biggest things to have riding into another half. For now, Legacy have changed up their approach. It's been a while since I think we've seen them actually get their hands dirty and go into water. So, intrigued to see Sadzin in especially his late round movements now that it's not going toward water. But he might see some action coming down connector. Cello clears out the cubby, and Dumao might have to pay the price for it. Sadzin trying to regroup for a potential con pop, but it's just wasted time.
B is absolutely locked down now. Short control, gain for the CT, smoke off of connector. Just completely fried of information on that end. You're really relying on Vinny to do the heavy lifting there, and they're actually going to pull back. They're going to pull back into the monster side of things, and they've got a chance, but Sadzin spotted out the lurk. And now things get really awkward for Imperial because the bomb's on one end of the map, and you've got a lurk on this end as well. There's just no cohesion in this play that I think Imperial just have to call the save, and that's what's happening. Everyone's backing away. Legacy have themselves their 8th round.
Yeah, interestingly enough, that's the second or third time, maybe even fourth, that Vinny specifically has tried lurking out Monster in the mid or late round, and I don't believe it's worked once. Now, obviously you don't want to play different because, you know, you're potentially worried about another team, but at the same time, when it's caused this many issues, I feel like you do kind of have to jump ship. And there, what's even more concerning about it is what you said. There was that lurk in bathrooms. It's not just like it was one prong on the B site. You know, Vinny falls, they just go back up A, because that wasn't a route open to them. It's so much going on there in a spot where they couldn't really afford to lose much.
Yeah, you can't take that risk if you don't have any short information. The fact that they didn't have any short information was the real issue. And I think Vinny was thinking that, oh, they're just going to be sitting in short. There won't be any B-side presence that I can waltz through. But Legacy are a little bit more keen than that. This time around, though, Vinny continues his aggression on the B end. This time through the short side. And Vinny caught between this smoke. Wants to go through. This is bold. I've never seen something like this. And he'll go 1 for 1, but that's not where this is ending up. It's going to end up on A. Cello hears all of this, and Lotto rotates back the other way. The headshot is there, but the 1 for 1 is still good enough for SHR, but Sadzin pushes forward. How in the hell does he find SHR? I couldn't tell you. And now Try has a real opportunity at finding kills back, and look at that. Through the wall.
Wait. The bomb's still got to cross back over, and they've seen each other. Oh, no way. No pun intended, but Nissim might have just won them the round. Try's got to inch back into long while Nissim gets to play this big 1v1. Around Bathrooms, he'll rotate. Curious as to where Try's next attack will come from, but once more, we find ourselves taking a glance to the timer, not seeing a lot left. Try's got a nade and a flash to help his cause. But an op isn't exactly what you're wanting in a situation like this, and Nissim's still close enough to hear these footsteps trampling back into the A site. Now even Try's got to re-clear everything. There is so much information for Nissim right now, it's not even funny. Plant goes on the opposite side of the truck, though, so depending on Try's next route, I think, there's just that reset timing factor Nissim wasn't ready for. And even though he makes the right play on the cutoff, Try's got things under control. Imperial, they'll at least end it off on a high note, but they still got a lot of work to do on the second half. A messy game so far, but one that's had Legacy up 4 rounds as they go to the side switch. And now we get to see Lux's hand in calling a T-side on overpass. Imperial maybe left a little to be desired, but it's manageable.
An opportunity here for Legacy to put this one to bed and give them a very firm advantage in this best of 3. And Lotto already making this P250 sing, punishing the long aggression. Unreal work there from Lotto. Instant 5v3.
And now where do you go if you're Imperial? They put all their eggs in that one basket. You even saw Cello starting to rotate in through bathrooms late accordingly. So they won't flinch on B, but I'm not sure how much it's going to matter. Vinny up close and personal with the dualies, maybe their last line of hope, unless SHR has something crazy to pull out with the P2K. Legacy are slowing it down, realizing all the pressure's put onto the back of Imperial, and the Lotto's got himself a nice little angle up through long. Cello Tucks into the bathrooms, waits, soon to be seen potentially around the corner. No, they both timing one another, and he's going to call for everybody to come back toward A. Cello is in prime position.
This is so awkward.
Wait, is
this
he running?
Is so awkward. Yeah, he's gonna run back in, and that should be the sign. That should be the sign, and that could have even been a kill on Elato, but they will be able to escape. SHR still manages to find one, but that's not gonna matter. Elato cuts off the rotation for Cello moving back the other way, and this one should be an open and shut case. Elato has won this round by his lonesome.
Hell, you can tell he's playing with that fire. You saw him go back in, try to get another tap in bank. He wanted his ace. You can feel it. Every now and again, you throw that in the comms, and the boys got to respect it. But for now, it's just SHR on a solo mission trying to get back into the A site with no kit or utility to assist him. So, more so just a participation trophy he's aiming for right now. Headshot on Lato makes things a little more interesting, but I say a little for a reason, as it's a lot of legacy in this round.
Yeah, just very well done, Elato. There's really no other conversation to be had here, other than I like that Lux gives space to Elato to really do as he pleases in the mid round and allow him to solve that together instead of Legacy trying to figure it out as a team. Giving space to him to work and then calling the rotation back up the stairs. Imperial called the instant timeout, understanding how dangerous of a situation they're in, and they're actually going all trips to the center of the table with this force buy, which, I don't know, I think is a real risk to run. Potentially giving 11 over?
I like it. I mean, I've never disliked force buys in this situation. Always, it just depends on how they play it, right? I mean, if Imperial play like they did on that pistol where they're potentially double dipping constantly, then yeah, I don't like this as much. But, you know, a safe, reserved force buy rounds where you maybe try to play off of one another and then things initially go wrong, you save. I can never really harp on that. And right now they've got a triple setup in bathrooms. Oh, you know, that's you probably can't accidentally scroll wheel jump there. That's not what you want to be doing. So, early pickings goes the way of Legacy, and Imperial are empty-handed.
Yeah, not what you want to see. And this starts off the right way. And with this bathroom setup, I like the idea of player playing anti, but you're getting pinned from a lot of different avenues, and I think they've gotten a little bit of a sound cue knowing that it's coming from long. Lux wants to commit to this dry, and right before he commits, there's a flash from his teammate. Trades are effective. That's everything you could ask for. 4v2 now. Players on the defensive end split between these two sites. And Try will get himself a tag, and I think that should scare Legacy, at least temporarily, understanding that they've got to join hands if they want to commit to this B bomb site. And they're actually just going to completely ignore Try. They're giving him that respect.
Oh my god!
And want to go back into this B bomb site, into Vinny's arms.
Wait a second. MP9. Bombs crossing out late. 20 seconds to go, and this is unguarded, but Vinny falls off! Oh, the one world he had there as if he maybe deals with Lato, gets into pit, and then tries to drop that bomb carrier and cause a ruckus with 10 seconds left. But now is that alternate route where Imperial probably stick around for a little longer than they should have after things go wrong initially, and it is just cold cut as 11. You won't be doing much damage, if any, in the next round.
And now the nightmare fuel begins for Imperial, having to claw back a gargantuan deficit. And you don't even get any economic damage on the other end. They still keep 4 bodies alive. They're already seeing some sharper protocols here from Legacy on the offensive end, and it just feels like Imperial fell into this gaping bear trap that Lux and Chucky were hoping to spring. And it's like the worst time for that trap to spring. I mean, this is a spot at London on the line, and your map pick looks distraught, to say the least.
And Legacy have been flirting with this idea, this event, so it only feel like it was destined for this to happen, for somebody to walk into this, for somebody to say, maybe we can do it. I mean, obviously, there's still a couple rounds left, but my optimism is limited when the other side is 5-7s. And again, we already came into the series and talked about what Inferno is likely going to look like. I mean, it's very hard to ever really tout a bunch of teams against Legacy's Inferno. And one thing I didn't necessarily get to say is sometimes Legacy feels like two teams where they'll go into an event, they won't struggle, they won't sweat, they'll walk away with it, no questions asked. Other times, potentially like what happened in their MRQ, it just kind of feels like they won't ever really wake up. And that was a legitimate fear I had coming into this series, right? What Legacy do you get? But just because we haven't seen a ton out of Sadson, just because we haven't heard a bunch from, actually no, we have heard a bunch from Nissim now, but it's, everybody's playing well outside of that. And it's not even like Sadson isn't playing well. I would just say Imperial have done good to counter him specifically.
Don't think there is a counter at this point for Legacy. Try now, given essentially one opportunity here to make an impact. And he goes at least tentatively aggressively into the front of bathrooms. But connector presence firmly in the favor of the T side. Wow. Look at this instant rotation here from the CT side to at least maneuver a single player back over. And they kind of have to if Try has been pushed this far back. They'll smoke up front bathrooms, and Legacy just want to straight up commit here.
Big kill. Needed to find something out of that. The mollies burn at the toes of the players around truck. Actually, he's been extinguished now. And there's Cello. Crossfire coming in, but nades and mollies force Try back into bank. May not matter, because everybody started to step up this round from Imperial. The rifles have shined, and Sadson's only here to do some bonus damage. Try. He'll get his, and Imperial will get theirs. Finally on the board on this CT side. But need a lot more where that came from. And it's not every round that you're going to see Try pulling off something like that. It's not every round where he's going to sneak away with a kill in one of the most prime positions on this map.
Yeah, that's a compulsory sequence there from Try. Giving a lot of space over, but still making do with the space that he retained. And the rotations looked good there from the CT side as well. No harm in calling an instant execution there at all, but that is very interesting. Vinny finding an opening 5v4. Cello still finding a safe haven here in Con. So already Imperial sort of giving a little bit more fight than we were expecting now that they've got the guns out.
Maybe it was just a CT-sided affair in the making. Try though. Oh my god, this is bold. Especially considering the score, but in the famous words of one Kendrick, somebody got to do it. Right now, Try's looking to be that guy, usually the one to step up for Imperial in trying times. Third repeat might be pushing it a little too far there, I'm not going to lie.
Instead, they'll have a anti-flash setup here on the long corner, and weirdly enough, no way he decides to fight early. Nade through, that does absolutely nothing, but that molly could push off some players. 35 seconds left on the clock, and okay. I think Legacy just don't want anything to do with this round specifically.
No. And
we'll just save in. Still have a purchase off in the next if they can retain all three of these guns. And for Imperial, again, you're starting to see more gumption out of Try. You're starting to see proper map control being taken. And Legacy are going to have to earn these final two rounds of play if they want to secure overpass.
The bones of the CT side are there. Feels a lot better of an outlook considering what the T side had presented. And even though, yeah, I mean, Legacy can still rebuy with these 3 guns saved, I love the idea of Imperial not going for anything there. One thing that you're going to need if you want to pull off a comeback, if you are Imperial, is money, right? So, keeping all 5 alive guarantees Try gets another op. Guns will come back out, even on a lost round. Still don't want that lost round to be here, though. There's a lot at the stake for Legacy. You lose this one, and all of a sudden, you can really start talking if you're Imperial.
Absolutely. And I'm going to try to be a bit aggressive here on the short side, but Nissim thinks better of it, pulls away. But this is the real kill to prop open Legacy. They've really pushed Cello back, and I don't know how he gets a kill. Shocking that he's able to get a kill, but he can't get away. You can't let him get away, and Lada will confirm that. Now in the 4v4, Legacy still have legs to stand on, but they've really got to keep their wits about them. They still don't properly have top of con control. And instead, Lada will just hold strong, and they're going to pop through Monster here.
Feels like it's a read. Imperial, their quick rotate down to this B site was Cello and Khan. Losing him means these 2 B anchors are on an island of their own. And that's why Nissim sprints down the players in barrels. SHR spammed through pit. Everything going wrong at the worst time for Imperial. There's Try down, and No Way walks right into the op of Sadzin. Legacy, clean, cut, cold. Get their map point.
Yeah, unfortunately, you automatically see the differences between Legacy's pop in through the B bomb site compared to Imperial's. Even though the flashes aren't necessarily the greatest, you've still got great spacing in terms of the trade potential. You've got the aggression from Nissim to bound through the CT utility into barrels, get rid of that position altogether, and push the pit player back up against the wall, never letting them have a chance to get a multi-kill, having to shoot through those site boards. And instantaneously, you're starting to see just the levels of Legacy's T side already eclipsing what Imperial has shown. Trying their hand now with the Try boosted AWP. Oh, and both players miss. So we still have ourselves a 5v5. But look at this. Look at all the space that Legacy's taking across long.
And Noe hasn't even spotted this just yet. He throws a smoke at the front of bathrooms, but I don't think this is something that's been detected. Rotation's called, so maybe they are keen on something, but so much space. No, they don't know. They don't know. And Lux is just crept by both of them. Dumao might get spotted, but the second person, absolutely not. Why would you expect somebody to have crawled out and they even see Cello still stuck on ban? This is a death waiting to happen. Molly's nades, they all come flying in. Pick your poison, Cello, you're out. And Lux has just double entry, triple entried into a stacked up A-bomb site. Timing be damned. He'll do it himself if he's got to. And Try is walking back in from dumpster, may give the IGL his 4th. That barrel talked about how it can be a cruel mistress, a close missed off shot. Lux needs to reload, but it won't matter. You got 3 eager T's ready to close this map out, and Legacy's trap pick has worked.
Beautiful work there from Legacy throughout that map of overpass. Just, I think, definitely work to be done in terms of the CT side for Legacy, but I think as the defense continued on, they slowly figured out what they had to fix, what adaptations that they had to commit to, and then that offense looked for the most part pretty squeaky clean.
I mean, you didn't really need much either, too, because it felt like Imperial sometimes were just doing too much in very weird situations, and Legacy, this game felt very hands-off from them. This game felt very, let's just wait and see what Imperial do. Even as deep as the CT side, a lot of those rounds, they would kind of just sit back, very turtled up at when that timer ticked low, and almost every single time it worked. I think one thing you mentioned in that late game was that it's almost, they were doing the same thing Imperial were, but better. That monster pop toward the end specifically. And one most notable thing about it is just the short control, the way they would go about it. Even in rounds where they wouldn't end up finishing B, you would see a lot more presence put on taking control of water, on stealing Con away, on making sure they have all this space on the map. And that's just not something we ever really saw out of Imperial.
Yeah, I definitely think for it was the mention that I had at the beginning of the map where I kind of spoke about how when Vinny tries to adapt to a new map being entered into the pool, I think his ideas are very outdated, and I think that my point still stands on that with the end of Overpass. Like the way that they approached Dust 2 when it was thrown in was very spawn dependent. It was very fast paced. He didn't really understand how he wanted to default. And yes, granted, over time they were able to figure out that map, figure out the strategies that they wanted to work. I think they took a lot of leaves from a lot of different teams' books across the scene. But I think for them, they don't have enough of a sample size on Overpass just yet. And I think they were really grasping at straws as to how they wanted to approach it offensively. You didn't have any real exciting play from Cello, a guy that's supposed to be opening up rounds for you on the offensive end. SHR was pretty negligible. And again, those two are the players that I'm looking towards on this team to be the key difference makers for this roster. And if they're not able, if even one of them is not able to be activated, this series is going to be an absolute non-starter from start to finish, in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, I look at Cello and SHR and the positions they played on that CT side alongside it. Cello, maybe not so much. I feel like he did have a bit more impact than I saw in that
Yeah,
first
he
best
did.
of three. But SHR, you got to consider he's the guy supporting your B site anchor. That's probably one of the most impactful roles you might see. I mean, outside of like opping on this map, there's so many times where he would be left with the keys to the castle when they would go into B, and he'd just find himself getting thrusted deep into water and almost never really having a ton of impact. This is a consistency now, and it's starting to worry me about Imperial when a big impact player like SHR. I mean, you mentioned it coming in specifically Khan on Mirage, where it didn't really feel like he was doing that much. Now it's starting to stand true on other maps as well. They're running out of time and they're running out of space in this grand final because on the other side of this break, we've got Inferno, and I am not very optimistic after what we saw.
Yeah, I don't think there was really any kind of competition in that altogether. And I look towards Inferno and I say, this is going to be a situation where I don't feel very confident in what Legacy have to offer. I think that Imperial have to offer, excuse me. I think Legacy have done enough to impress me at Austin with how they were able to figure out how that map works. I think you've got some really exciting pieces to work around. And basically, with all of the win conditions already there for Legacy on a map like Overpass, I think on Inferno, it's no question. I think for Imperial to really stand a chance, you need a good performance from Try, and you need to figure out this weird hole of what SHR and Cello are not able to provide so far.
Yeah, and again, it does not bode well when the little sample size we have of these players in the impact positions they've been in is now going against one of the most tried and tested Inferno teams, maybe even in the world, to a degree. It's very tricky to try and find optimism for this Imperial team when I think a lot of what we've seen in this event has kind of looked a bit uninspired. I mean, yeah, the calling on Overpass might have looked a little outdated, but to a degree, again, it also kind of looked scared, waiting till almost the end of the timer in a lot of their T-sided rounds and then going off of a lot of hopes and prayers. We saw that on Mirage. We saw that yesterday in their game against Audic on that train map. And here we saw it again on Overpass. Now, albeit it changed as the series went on, but as we said, the competition really only gets tougher. And now it's Legacy. Now it's their map. Now it's what makes them such a special team, and your back's against the wall.
Yeah, nightmare situation here for Legacy. I honestly think that Lotto, to me, what was the MVP. I think he closed out the the Overpass T side very well. He ends with 122 DAR, and that to me feels like the most important couple of kills that he was able to get in the game. And I think just the way that he approached the A side, it was very risky, I'll say, in terms of the aggression he was showing on that defense. But once he kind of reeled it back in towards the tail end of the first half, I think he really understood as to how he wanted to play it. He would have support from his AWP. He'd have support from maybe an extra rifler as well. And I think that he just closed out that second half like almost perfectly, in my humble opinion.
To a degree, I think it's kind of hard to predict too, considering how many great plays a bunch of different players on Legacy had, especially at the end, where Lux was kind of just walking into sites and winning rounds. This being like the penultimate. He gets his timing up long, he finds the first on truck, uses his utility pretty damn well, all things considered, taps SHR out. There's just so many different people you could look at, and I guess I'm not entirely surprised to see Lux, but I am also with you. I don't entirely think it matters a bunch, to be honest with you, where you have three different people who could have been in this conversation, and none of them are Sadzin. When it feels like in any given day, there's always going to be a map or a point where Sadzin also turns up, and he's a person we haven't heard from yet. Again, all signs just point toward Legacy potentially getting even more dominant as we shift into Inferno.
Yeah, the fact that Sadzin was never called upon on a map like Overpass, where you would want to have a dominating op presence, that really speaks to how dominant of a 13-6 this was. I mean, it didn't really feel like there was any sort of competition being given out from the Imperial side in any regard. And of course, having Lux drop a 2.86 on you does not make matters any easier, especially when Vinny on the other end individually cannot keep up right now. So I think when you look towards Inferno, where do you look towards as a potential win condition? What part of the map do you potentially abuse? It's really hard to figure that one out, and I think Zach and Vinny will definitely have their hands full to try and find the answer to that question.
I mean, it seems cliche, but I just think you have to look at Try, just straight up. I mean, Inferno, it's got its fair share of op presence. Again, not as much as Overpass, I'll give you that, but it's the one guy on this team who it feels like is normally pretty reliable. And even in that map, his KD still kind of went to show that he was there in some of the rounds he won, or I'm sorry, their team won. He did exist. Now, As for what that's going to mean or translate to an Inferno, I'm really not sure, because sometimes it takes Try a good bit before he really gets to warm up. And Inferno isn't really one of those maps where you're going to get the liberty of sitting around and waiting for a good majority of your CT half. So if you ask me, I think obviously you're going to go into this and get to pick your CT side if you're Imperial. But the win condition to me is get Try involved. Get him activated as early as possible. Instate that fear so you don't have to be calling scared, which is this hole that Imperial keep getting trapped inside of. A couple of things go wrong, they start calling scared, they fall apart. It's a one-sided affair the whole map.
Well, that'll do it for right now, but we're going to take a little bit of a break, and when we come back, Inferno to see if Imperial can stand the test of time or whether Legacy are heading to London.
Inferno, their last stand is they... No way they picked T side. That actually just shell-shocked me a little. I'm surprised. I wholeheartedly expected a CT start, but regardless, still doesn't change the fact that Legacy own pretty much everything right now, and Imperial have got to start fighting back. Not off to a good start.
This aggression, yeah, it's nice, but punished by SHR. So a 4v4 and an opportunity to slow the pace of the round down for Imperial. And I think this offensive start is not the worst thing in the world, but when you didn't really have much to stand on Overpass, you're going to have to convince a lot of viewers and ourselves really here in the casting booth that it was a worthy decision. And they've already made another sound cue to give over to this Legacy side. Now Molotov into the porch, and they'll continue to encroach upon this A bomb site with only really one player on the site proper at Sadzin.
Could be the recipe for success. They're not really hiding their route of approach still. Jumping out into pit, Sadzin has an opportunity presented to him, 2 tapped away, and they keep peeking him one by one, but he's making it look easy with the USP. 3 crisp shots, 3 clean kills. And now Try is just looking for redemption in apps, let alone winning the round. Wants to avenge his teammates in some form or some way, but now everybody's arrived on the scene. Playing a big game of Protect the President. The bomb is dropped right in the laps of the CTs. And Try can only look on and hope that the future is better, because for now, it's a Legacy pistol through and through.
And, I mean, at this point, if you want to, like, play around with just giving him the space and killing him after time, I would have loved that, but...
That'd been cool.
They don't actually commit to it. They just want to confirm the round, and I don't mind that either, but what a round from Sadzin. We spoke about him not having to really do much in this series so far, but called upon basically the only line of real defense on that A-bomb site. Now, Imperial have a hero Tech 9. Sure.
Why not? I mean, there's actually a lot of reasons why not, especially when you're stuck in logs. But, you know, we can pretend, right? I mean, that's cool. It might do something, no? Damage. That's what I call worth. The Glocks, though, they're singing for a kill. Down in through the banana smoke, there's 4 people all firing down, so they get an MP9 for their troubles. And guess what? Tech 9, back picked up, baby. Try's got it on lock, but now we look at Nissim, who's crawled all the way down middle. In no way is the first responder on 22 HP. So it's not even like they can really escape Banana. He's just keeping him trapped. All these footsteps heard stampeding around the B site.
The thing is, he can't ever really push in, especially if they don't take any contact on the B bomb site. But that smoke actually might goad him into this decision. He finds 2, and that's good enough. And now Sadzin will close it out. Just leave it up to the IGL. He'll run back up through the bracket, see if he can get this bomb plant in. He's gonna have to win a fight, but he team flashes himself. That doesn't help. And Sadzin will close it out with a double. And Legacy get through the eco, no problem. 3 kills, or 3 players up.
And they only really lose MP9s in it too, so genuinely nothing to lose all that much sleep over. In fact, I'd still argue that Imperial are worse off because of that Hero Tech 9 buy, which puts them in a buy that features a Mac 10 now, instead of having SHR on a rifle. So that's something worth noting. Rare do you see these quote-unquote bonus rounds end up with a reward of attrition that favors those taking the bonus. But here we are. A couple of nades will fly down mid. Not any real damage exchange. Actually, I just straight lied. Somehow SHR and the Crossfire's fallen to 39 HP, and there's that Mac 10 almost out of commission.
Not a good sign when you don't have any sort of banana control. But they're still going to try for it, and then while they are, we'll go for some brackets presence as well, but Legacy we're considering re-clearing it together. They'll think better of it, they'll back away. Imperial do win this opening gambit in terms of map control pretty well. They get brackets, they get top of car as well, and more importantly, Legacy are running out of utility very quickly.
Time of the essence now, and they don't even have any mollies to burn out some of these crucial check spots like Pit, like Cubby, even potentially like Porch. They're going to have to clear that one raw, but maybe it's just enough. Couple of flashes could make a thing go right. Still stalling out toward brackets. Nissan first contact, and now seen on the cross. The crossfire starts to have its full effects. Lux a double from Pit, and it looks like, again, the IGL will do everything for them. A hat trick from the caller, and he's still standing in Pit, even if Sadzin falls on site. It's just really not enough time left to do anything, and they're going to cross right back in front of him. He's on for the ace right now. IGL might be the main gun, the star of the show, as the first ace of the series comes early on Inferno.
Pit is being very kind to Legacy right now. You're getting so much impact from this position, and I think most importantly for Imperial, not being able to flush out that player in any sense is also a major issue. And that is just like the crux of a T side. You need to be flushing out Pit as often as possible. And the fact that they are not giving that position as much respect as it is a real concerning sign if they want to keep bullying their way into this A bomb site, or at least attempting so.
Well, they've already garnered full control of Banana, so I don't see many threats coming on the horizon in a Tech 9 round. So Imperial will again stall out toward mid, but I mean, this is a Legacy team that hasn't even featured the op of Sadzin just yet, kind of bankrolling Imperial. So it's not even like you've gone against the full threat yet, and they're still struggling significantly.
Now, pop flash through for Imperial, and this is the A4's home ground, and oh my goodness, a little bit of style there from Dumao at the end on a Vinny. And it's a shutdown. I don't know what this obsession is for Imperial to just go popping through smokes, but it's not working at all.
Look, at least this time it happens on, like, that last shot's a little nasty. At least this time it happens on an eco. Let's just, you know,
sure,
not do it again when the guns come out.
Like, the nade idea of just nading open the smoke, that could go a long way, man. They are so averse to that idea, and I don't understand why. Like, it is a very powerful mechanic if you can get the nade off on the smoke without it making any noise.
Hey, man, nade open the smoke or draw 25. I'm still very alarmed, though, because even when Imperial haven't gone for that smoke pop in Banana, they've tucked somebody in logs, and almost every time they've gotten flushed out. So, honestly, if you ask me, I'd like to see something faster from Imperial on A. Right? It feels like that's where a lot of these vacancies could potentially arise early, and they're not winning Banana. On pistols, on force buys, on ecos, on gun rounds. When Legacy want Banana, Imperial don't win it.
And now again a slowdown here from Imperial. They'll waltz up the Banana this time around, and they're actually pretty close up against the smoke. Dumao has got to be very, very nervous about what could come out the other side, but he's still very gung-ho here. Packet's control now being taken instead for Imperial. Nade through, and nobody spotted. Oh, Lux is very lucky to be alive.
You are flirting with death there, man. What is going on?
Sorry, I thought that was a CT for a second, and that had me tweaking. I'm like, why is he walking knife out to apartments? Either way, still a heavy slowdown here from Imperial on both ends. But they've got a lot of map control at the very least. It's now, what do you want to do with it? And it seems like the A bomb site is where they do want to complete this one.
Oh, but they're pulling a rotation around. Lux is starting to read onto this. Smoke and Molly are thrown just as a preventative measure so they can get the caller here. He's also got another Molly, so he's just going to refresh this over on lane, keep this timer stalling out. Nade chips in, kills come through, and now problems arise again. Forced to go into an uncomfortable site take that they're not entirely ready for, immediately losing 2 players. Lux's health won't matter. Look at this nasty off angle he's provided himself on top of a smoke, and Nissim's just looking to play his life, trying to stay alive as long as he can, but Lux spammed through the smoke, so it turned to a desolate round, or rather from a desolate round, is one that feels unlosable. Even if Cello's low, even if they know he's on site, they need to deal with so many different unknown assets, the first of which being Try. Pushed up in brown halls he may be, but looking at the wrong side of the hallway. Dumao spots the gun barrel, and that's the first domino knocked over. Vinny now up in graveyard. Nice little 2-tap, drops him. And now it's all Lotto trying to break through the crossfire. It's a site almost known for its unfavorable retakes, but Lotto still wants to try it anyway. To his dismay, it'll be Imperial's first round, and finally something goes their way.
Yeah, crazy what a Molly down in pit can do for you. I think in this situation, just finding a way to break through that crossfire. Yeah, they did. They mollied pit, and Nissim had to back away, and that basically restricted him for just a little bit. And that small little window is all you need. Is all you need to make it a 2-pronged crossfire instead of a 3-prong. And eventually they trade their way through. But you're going to need a lot more of that from Imperial here on this T side. Solid utility to start things off with the defense. But Imperial still get themselves car. Look at this. Aggression all the way in through A. And Lux is also pushed through. A chance to find No Way. Oh, but he jumps the gun. And now, things get a little awkward. He finally rights the ship. How does he get out, though, is the real question. And it's just like that. A flash through. And we stay in the 3v3.
Up your sads and you have a big call to make. Do you want to stay toward this A site, support your low HP IGL and anchor, or you fend off what feels like is an inevitable B push? Well, choosing the latter, Legacy have decided to completely abandon ship at the A site. They've got a gut feeling, and it looks like they're about to be right. Smoke's missed just a smidge. It'll allow them to creep ever so much further forward, and SHR wants to take advantage of it, hiding inside. Time momentum this time around, but there's still a lot of mollies where this came from, and Spam's not landing, but they're going in.
Here it comes. And there won't be any pushback on the other end. Molly to go down into the Coffin's plant, but they're planting Fountain, and now it's a little bit of a chance for Vinny to claw back, but Lotto wins the fight, and Try goes forward. He finds his AWP as well. Now it's all about trying to protect SHR on the back of the site. Molly is not good enough, but it still flushes him out. And now in the 1-on-2, Try surely can find a way in. And he'll dodge back, he'll dance back. And now Satson can't do anything. It's all in Try's hands. He's masterfully put this one together. And Imperial will claw one back. You're starting to see a little bit more impact now from the Argentinian.
Even end up dropping Sadson in the end, too, so that money that Legacy worked so hard to build up in the first 4 rounds is almost non-existent. They'll get a buyout here if they really want to, but all signs point toward a save and what could be Imperial's first take a breath kind of round. For a moment I was going to say maybe not, but Nissim immediately refunds his MP9, and so does Lotto. It's just everybody following suit. 5-7s, a Deagle, and a round that Imperial should be able to take a sigh of relief in. Like I was saying, too, coming into this game, I wanted to see Try be the one to step up. That round kind of fits the bill perfectly.
And now SHR is getting a little bit more impact here on Banana as well. Legacy starting to have their hands full on this eco. And you've got a double wrap into the B bomb side. This one should be an easy conversion for Imperial now. Just have to put this one in. Kill up for No Way. And they'll just bully their way into this B bomb site.
Still a little awkward, but sure. It's good enough. I mean, you really didn't need a lot. Happy with the past few from Imperial. I think most importantly, exploiting those little advantages they've been not handed, but earning. That pit molly you mentioned. I even think the previous B exec, where that smoke is just, it's a little bit off, and SHR, instead of throwing a smoke in CT or potentially flashing in, which was originally what he was going to do, is called to crawl up, take advantage of the space he's given. And because he gets so close, you see how uncomfortable it makes some of those sight anchors. A little uptick for the attitude of Imperial, but the guns will come back out, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they've gone through easy streets just yet. You still got quite the triumphant task to go over.
Yeah, now you've got the Sods in AWP and an opportunity for him to maneuver around the map a little bit more. And you kind of noticed in that previous, didn't really have the impact that you were looking for. Got to that B-side rotation a little too late. And now is a real opportunity to kind of lay down the law. Peering in through the apartments, getting the setup ready, and ready to go, and this will find what they were looking for. They'll back away instantaneously. Now Imperial should be aware that apartments is under threat.
What's the response? Right now, it's leaning back toward B. Double naked, Molly on the corner, Dumao still not taking it as a warning, calling for a flash, and mowing down everybody in his way. I said it earlier, when Legacy want banana, they take banana. And Dumao is living to tell that tale yet again. Cello, not even looking for much, just trying to scrape by with getting the bomb and then progressing the round from there.
Really?
That feels a little petty, man, I'm not gonna lie. They know he's here too. They heard the tags. There was an op in that smoke, mind you. I just want to throw that out there. He could have thrown that away. I mean, they're not going to take it, but...
I mean, they still get 2 AKs and they don't have team mollies though. And that, he's like, I made it a point. I made it a point. That was all me. I changed the state of the economy all on my own.
That's standing on business right there, man. I've never seen that. I've never seen that. Well, it looks like Legacy are going to take banana again, so... This train don't stop for anybody. You better watch out, Imperial. Or not. Just a couple nades. Real attacks on the apartments. And look at Sadzin walking all the way up into Brown Halls. The bomb might even jump over into Nissim's welcoming arms. Wait, did he just hear a drop? Did he just hear the bomb drop? That's not good.
And they're actually leaving No Way alone here to reclaim the bomb, reclaim apartments all on his own. So forcibly trying to take banana in the meantime instead. And Sadzin's still perched on this angle, so if No Way's not careful, this could be disaster, and disaster will strike. Now with a minute left on the clock, Imperial have to recover the bomb, recover brackets control, and have to find a way back into this T side.
And there's still a 3-man setup on A, by the way. There's not 1 HP of damage yet to be inflicted to Legacy. I mean, we've seen Imperial flirt with the timer before, but never in a 3-on-5 have they had to work with it. And Sadzin's still here posted up. Vinny's the only one with a molly, and it has to go into pit. I mean, you'd assume it would, right? Where else are you going to throw it from apps? Oh, a gun barrel spotted. Can they?
Yeah,
see
I
that?
think so. Here
but
comes
they don't.
the molly. Dodson hits the shot though. That should be enough.
It never clicks. I think Vinny ends up going out before they actually get that visual confirmation. Try! Oh. Wait, does he have that bomb plant? You're kidding me. Shut your mouth. No, they don't. Oh, my God. Oh, Try was about to put that one in the highlight reel.
Yeah, and I mean the players are flanking from mid side as well, so you have the chance to get back into the site. Like a very possible 1-on-3, but what a flick there from Sadzin. The tracking is immaculate.
I think there's a little stutter or stumble there, right? Because the
Yeah,
bump site
for
doesn't
sure.
have clipping on the steps. So when he walks back to plant and what he thinks is the default stack, he's technically on the steps, so he can't plant.
Truly unfortunate, and now you've got Lux dominating in through the mid. Sad's in here to help out as well. AWP finds nothing. And that's a quick recovery mission for Sadzin if he wants. And he'll collect it. Lux will anyway, but 7 now found for Legacy, and they are just romping their way to London.
An eerily similar scoreline to the first half of Overpass. CT side and all. So if you thought this map was looking better, well, the score says it's the exact same. And could even be headed for a worse trajectory depending on the outcome of the following. Imperial, call a timeout. Not really any other time to start using them. And again, I find myself asking, what's the weak spot for Legacy? Because, I mean, even though Lato's not having a game of himself, he's still doing his job. It's not like he's a negative. It's not like he's an anchor weight right now. And everywhere else you look, it feels like it's been a feeding frenzy for Legacy. So it's just the series missing that X factor for Imperial.
Yeah, and I
doesn't
think
feel like anybody's been here.
you're supposed to look at Cello to be that X factor. He'd been brought onto that team to reclaim some old spice to his play style, but that feels like
the deodorant.
Yeah, very, very far away from that point in his career at this point.
Another thing worth noting, I think, is the start of this round where it's another nade stack down Banana, which they've done almost every round. Whether they've taken Banana or not, that nade stack has always come in from Legacy. And, I mean, it doesn't get them a kill, right? But look at Vinny. He's on 26. I mean, to some extent, at the start of a round, it feels like something you don't even necessarily have to say.
And now Imperial are scrambling for answers. They want to go back into its A-bomb side, but this time they want to speed it up. They want to go straight at Lux. They've got a flash prime, you'd like to think, and the shot from Cello is good. That's more like it. They'll re-smoke the arch side here to keep Nissim and Sadzin comfortable, but Dumao has got to make his way over eventually if they want to stand a chance in this one.
This is going to be a wrap. This isn't even going to be an A finish, and they're going to realize this sooner rather than later, but they have a player in CT, or maybe it's not. They're transitioning back into A, and that's exactly what Sadzin was hoping for, licking his lips at the thought of them walking straight into the op. Dumao's come in now with an extra given couple of seconds. And Sadzin, he's still here. The no-scope from the apartments. Doesn't even need the barrel for Vinny. Tried. He had his attempt at a 1-on-3 earlier. It was an op in hand, and it was with significantly less time. That might still be the standard as they hear him trying to get the digits punched. There's not enough time for him to fight every single member, so Legacy run him down and take another eighth.
I just love the proactivity here from Sadzin when called upon. I mean, he's kind of known to be the guy to not necessarily take these duels in certain situations, play a little bit more passive, but when asked and when forced, he will play that aggressive line, and he does it very, very well. Doesn't even opt in for the AWP here in the final round of play. But why not? His rifle has looked excellent so far as well.
Ooh, spamming down Banana. Very scary duel for Try to take. I think he's lucky to only get away with 67. That looked right on the money. What is that smoke? What? How? Yeah, you know what? Sure. Dumao, he still ends up getting away with one, by the way. They refresh that smoke. I mean, it sucks, right? Because now instead of having a smoke for anchoring the site, you had to expend it on Banana, but I think it's going to do its job, right? They're already shifting away back up toward Bracket. You got your kill. Imperial are again at a standstill as the MAC-10 dives through the smoke in a desperate aim to find a kill back. And Legacy are still fighting. They're willing to give this pick back. They're willing to give them opportunities, and eventually SHR will collect. So the pressure's back on.
I think they overstay their welcome a little too much there, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue considering you've got this high-low setup to deal with. This should be a very potent setup from Legacy, and Dumao doesn't get anything. Instantly dominated by the IGL of Imperial, and now they want to just go charging through the smoke. That is not what you want to see. Lotto with the quad kill, Legacy with 9 as we send it to a halftime break.
A lot of the same from Overpass, if not worse. Imperial now go to their CT side with a bigger deficit than the first time, and this pistol could be the end-all, be-all for Legacy going to London, for Imperial maybe giving them a run for their money.
See what they can get done, Imperial. It's now or never. Trying to kind of lay down the law a little bit more now, but falls away eventually. It's a quad setup here on the Bracket's end. Nissim doesn't actually want to poke the bear, so they'll move back over to B, and all of a sudden this risk could look very, very awkward. Lux has got a nade open to open this smoke here in just a little bit, so they might be able to just completely steamroll, but they use that nade. Okay, they actually had 2 nades, so they'll use one to soften up a Sandbags player. And they'll use this next one to
Oh
kick
my
it open
God.
and go charging in through into this B-bomb site.
There is nowhere safe to go. Vinny's just got to take this fight, and he's the only one here. Nissim, Lato, there's 3 people who walk into this round without armor, and it doesn't seem to matter when you just F1 the first person on site. I mean, at this point, the round is likely already scrapped. They've got 1 smoke to help them right now. I don't know where they somehow mustered up this extra smoke to throw on the CT cross to refresh for the late round, but whatever Legacy got, man, I'm gonna need some of that. 1v5 as quick as it started. And No Way can't even think to get back into the site. That 1 smoke, that kid he's got, I mean, what, are you gonna try a ninja in the last couple of seconds? Forget it.
Yeah,
No.
too much ground to cover.
Okay.
And Legacy have completely hoodwinked Imperial with just a phenomenal pistol strat. That
sick.
execute was immaculate.
I mean, it's almost even more on the awareness of that CT crossing, right? It feels like Legacy were ready for Imperial to get what I can only call desperate. When those 2 smokes come in, right, you're not entirely worried. Vinny, he thinks he has that angle on the backside of the fountain. It's not a huge deal. He's got rotations in. Then they did open the smoke. Then that molly starts to spread, and all of a sudden, he needs that help, and he needs it now.
Absolutely. And it's basically the last-ditch effort here from Imperial, forcing into this one. Already 2 kills found for the T side. No Way caught in no man's land. And he's not long for this world either. So this one is going to end with a whimper, not a bang for Imperial. Unless something insane happens in the next few moments, but that doesn't seem to be the case, Afran.
And this is their force buy again. The difference between here and on Overpass was they had that extra round buffer, so they could have a save to still potentially attempt to come back. Now, it's USPs to defend against Series Point. It's just not a winning formula. And Vinny will salvage a Mac 10, so that's another person who can have a 5-7 in the following, but I'm not very moved by that recovery. That's even if he gets to keep it, right? You can see some aggression from Legacy trying to potentially take this gun away. I mean, the likelihood of them finding it is almost none, but they're showing they're not scared, and I don't see an Imperial that looks confident right now.
No, not at all. And I mean, a CT Mac 10 is not necessarily the most potent gun that you can have on the defense. So we'll see what he can do with this gun. If he wants to drop it over. Okay, he drops over the 5-7. And I mean, if you're Imperial, I guess, yeah, you just go for the save. You see what these guns can do. And hope, pray. And I think our AI prediction is, even in this situation, feeling a bit generous. 75% feels too little.
Underkill. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to consider that this is almost a guaranteed 12th, and at that point, it's just 9 rounds in a row for any team is a lot to ask for.
Card control found.
Legacy will still do their due diligence.
And I like that they do, because, I mean, there's still a potential of another force buy on the other end. So why overcomplicate things and just go for something like a 5-man push to the B bomb site? Really get all the map control you can ask for first. And they have just avoided the A stack multiple times now. And every time you ask Vinny to put up a huge multi-kill, I don't think you can really get it out of him. And he doesn't get one, man.
I mean, in his defense, I mean, he did kind of get run over. I don't know. This is just a game where it feels like you are going to have to look back on it and laugh. And I almost feel let down, right? Because even if you come into the series and say Legacy are going to win it, you would imagine it's a slight edge. Even if it's in 2 maps, the competition between these two says it should have been competitive. The history between these two says it should have been competitive. The way both of these teams got here says it should have been a little competitive. But it's leaving a sour taste that the start of the event felt like it's an Imperial that's full of promise to leaving the event with an Imperial that's full of despair.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm thinking about how this series essentially rode on their chances in Overpass pretty much every step of the way, and I think that they could have gone somewhere else. Maybe a train again. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't have had Dust 2, which is kind of unfortunate, but I think train might have been your best bet.
Yeah, and even so, I mean, I understand why Imperial don't pick it. Like, it doesn't help that the last 2 times Imperial have played Legacy, it hasn't gone well on train. And then it also makes it even worse when yesterday you just got, I mean, I'm not going to say obliterated, but it wasn't very close in a audit that, again, should look a bit scrappy. That shouldn't be a well-looking team for at least maybe like an event or 2. It's going to take them a second. I mean, hell, that's Cold Zero's second best of 3 in that team. So, all signs led to Imperial not necessarily being confident in that train, but they might not even get a chance to talk much more in this event because they're only 1 round away from beating Legacy in another event qualification, and 2 entries are pretty much pointing to this being all under wraps. Nissim, another on A, and everything's going swimmingly for Legacy. A 2-on-4 with Blast London on the line.
This one feels like an open and shut case, a full belt of utility for Cello on this retake, but they'll try their hand at a boost. They should be able to get spotted out. Sure, you can get 1, but you're not even going to get that on the retake. It's all up to Cello. He's had a tough series, and this would definitely put a lot of those arguments to bed if he can pull this one off, but so many players across the shop. He takes a dink through the wall, and that'll do it. Legacy charge their way to London, stamping their foot of authority here in the closed qualifiers, and congratulations to them.
I mean, that's just another event in the books, man. Legacy, I said this is a tale of 2 different teams, where Imperial, they don't have a lot on their calendar. Legacy do. They win this event. Cool. They're in another Blast event. They're in the Asian Championships. They're in Pro League. There is so much going right from Legacy, but that also pads onto why they were bound to win this from the jump.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't necessarily feel as though there was much of any competition on other end, and on any end, really. You don't have the win condition of try. You don't have the real potency of this rifle core ever really having a chance. And unfortunately, that big elephant in the room of chemistry, team chemistry, was the prevailing factor. Legacy having the right team composition, understanding how they want to win these games, round in and round out, and they just stuck to the game plan from every single point in that series, that it wasn't really much of a competition ever.
I mean, what's crazy to me is this was the least competitive game in the event for Legacy, and that includes their opening best of 3 against Galoris. Like, that's saying something, man. And I don't know if necessarily it's a testament to Legacy, like, gradually getting better as the event went on, or Imperial just being nowhere to be found. I'm leaning toward the second, again, just because of what we saw from Imperial, which that's not what this team ever really felt like it was. I mean, they had the outlier, right? Where maybe they have a map or 2, they look completely off, but this was an event where Imperial never looked like Imperial.
Yeah, I definitely think that was the case. I think there's still a lot of growing pains that this team has to go through, because consider that they haven't really played against the stiffest level of competition beyond Legacy just yet, that they haven't really had to go digging in terms of improvements. They haven't really had to be called upon to say, okay, Vinny, this game plan maybe it might not work in this circumstance. We've got to figure out how to make this playbook a little deeper. We've got to look towards maybe integrating SHR in a little bit more of a different position, maybe putting Cello in a different spot. So either way, it doesn't feel like there was much of a competition here. We're going to throw ourselves to a little bit of a break, and we'll be right back.
It's hard to follow up, but I think the moral of the story is Legacy looked pretty much about how we would expect coming out of that game. From the get-go, when Inferno was picked, honestly, I think I can comfortably say I expected a very good-looking map. Maybe not like 13-3, but I did expect them to have their way with Imperial, and that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, I just expected a little bit more pushback from Imperial on both maps, frankly. I think that their Inferno is not the greatest map in their pool, but they've shown some sort of promise in seasons past where I think that they were able to use it as a pick in a lot of situations where you would get No Way charging down Banana and finding potency there. But now they've put him on A. You've got this weird like setup with SHR now trying to be the Banana presence. And I don't think that they figured the map out just yet. And it cost them on the offense with the lack of offensive potential in terms of openings. And on the defense, you obviously didn't have much runway. You left Vinny on an island on a number of occasions. And essentially their defense was completely just written off because of the 4 stacks that they would have on A. So I'm really disappointed by this level of Imperial. I expected either a close 2-map series or maybe even a third. I know when we were talking about it on Saturday that we were thinking that we could have a Legacy Audic, or sorry, not a Legacy Audic, a Legacy Imperial final with a nuke decider, that we would get to that point eventually.
Yep.
And we never even get that sort of conversation. It doesn't even creep into the conversation of this series at all.
Yeah, I mean, I almost wonder if something like Went is in a panic, because, I mean, it's so weird. We saw them ban Mirage off rip, which is I don't think something we've ever seen Legacy do in this specific matchup. And I'm wondering if that led to why we even saw Overpass in the first place. Because again, you have a series between these two that's had very similar maps for a very long time now. And I mean, again, the last two best of threes were practically identical that they had played, especially in maps. But when you ban that Mirage, I almost wonder if Imperial get in this mindset of that was our one ace in the hole, right? Now what do we do? And then everything kind of starts to go on fire from the start. I mean, obviously this was alluded to. Legacy, this whole event have been floating Overpass. They haven't been banning it until the very last stage. So there was something up their sleeve, you would imagine. It's not like they would leave this map in the pool with the potential of teams to pick it. Alongside that, I believe the Sharks team has picked it or has played it before, so I wouldn't have been surprised to even see them play it before this best of 3 point is. It was something up their sleeve. Something had to have happened for Imperial to fall for this trap pick, and I'm almost wondering if that early Mirage ban is what caused that.
Yeah, probably. I mean, the Mirage Band comes in the second rotation, and that I think was very interesting as far as the decider was concerned. And there definitely just wasn't in. I mean, this game was basically won in the veto by Legacy.
Yeah.
You can't even fault Imperial for the actual in-game performances. And I mean, you look at across the board, nobody really showing up throughout this map of Inferno, but. Yeah, having Overpass where Legacy haven't shown their hand at all, and having that dominating of an affair, and then sequences like this from Sadzin to just start off Inferno as well. I mean, this was never ever going to be a contest. And again, if you think about the result of what Legacy were able to do on this map specifically at the biggest of stages in Austin, this was an open and shut case before we even got into the server, Anthron.
I mean, it's so hard because you go into this game, you see maybe Imperial look a little bit better, but it doesn't inspire confidence when the first thing we saw in that second half was the crazy call from Lux. That insane pistol strat is still sticking into my mind. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, you've seen a fair share of utility on a pistol, but that was what? 2 mollies, 3 smokes, 2 flashes, and a nade. It's just, it was crazy. 2 players had armor in that pistol.
And Dumao was absolutely frying today on that banana end on both the offense and the defense, just shutting down Imperial no matter what the position was. And you got to commend him. 127 ADR, a 2.71 rating. That's brilliance there from Dumao as the second best, or I mean, you could argue him being the best rifler on Legacy. They take turns, these guys. They've got so much talent across the board that Legacy is a force to be reckoned with and deservedly earned that spot at the Blast Open London.
And the worst part, or I'm sorry, the scariest part maybe about Legacy is that they just keep earning these events, man. It feels like the past year, there have been events where they fall up short. Again, I like to bring up the MRQ because I think that's the most recent time where we saw a qualifier where Legacy weren't Legacy and kind of showed what I felt like were their problems of old, where sometimes they just don't show up to play. As of late, those inconsistencies have been flattened. That curve is getting smaller and smaller, and this event schedule for them is getting larger and larger. But for now, pretty much all we have to say is we're going to send Legacy on to London. From me, Paladin, and the whole production team, we'll see you guys next time on Ace Masters. Thank you for coming.